So I'm really looking forward now to opening this conference with our host today, Dr. Hendrik Leber. Well, Dr. Leber, thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm really convinced, and you feel that I'm a fan. Well, particularly when you're getting to the stock exchange, and well, and if it's about stocks, you are really an expert. You you know Warren Buffett. It's the first meeting without Charlie Munger, and well, people say that right now the gloss is gone, and well, it was a very serious meeting in Omaha, and so it's always a meeting of 5 people, but without Charlie Munger, this was very solemn. Charlie Munger really, he always made jokes and really pointed notions that really hit the spot. So he really made interesting comments, and this was really missing. And we noticed that Buffett alone, the dynamics were missing. Well, he is now 93 years old, and so and well, it was also said that he doesn't communicate with his managers anymore, and so it seems also that he loses a little the contact to reality. And well, and I was a little afraid that right now it's the time that that Warren Buffett steps down. And I do really think that he should he should step down, because well, doesn't he have doesn't he have any ideas anymore? Well, insurances are some interesting things. Well, they collect the money from the people and invest it again. And so we were at the General Assembly of Mark Buffett, and then and he said, well, crypto risks, well, difficult. We're not going to do that. AI, dangerous, and but future risk, this is our daily business, and we know that. And AI, yes, this is something that we need for our business. And well, there we see that that he has lost a little his touch with the technological progress. This is not so important if you're if you're manager of a train company, but well, if you're working with groundbreaking technology, this really is a drawback. And so we try to also have Berkshire, but also to have the younger insurances in the portfolio. But you wouldn't say that this is more a sort of lethargy by Warren Buffett, that not that he doesn't trust the market anymore. And he says, okay, at an interest level of 4 to 5%, what can I do? Well, the stocks are highly valued, and so I think he missed out a couple of crises. There's the Corona crisis. Here he really could have really made he could really have done something good. I also think about Boeing. Here he could have done something, and he is no longer as close to the market as before. Right now, China. You've been there currently. So what is your impression of China? I just had the opportunity to talk to Mr. von Morgenstern. He said, well, the media report very differently than what you see when you're there. So what do you see when you're there? So Mr. von Morgenstern is also responsible for the ACATIS China funds. So and you can ask him probably. So. And well, it was very well, the interesting thing was the reactions when I returned. So the question was, what was that with surveillance? We read a lot about surveillance in China. When you're there, you rarely fear that. Yes, of course, you need to register your fingerprint. You have your face recognition, that it's there. Yes, but in your everyday life, you don't see that. And the advantage is it's different than on the Frankfurt main station. You're walking through the streets and you feel safe. And so this has advantages and disadvantages. I didn't feel uncomfortable there. So that there's a little security and control. Well, the entire mood was not as great due to the crisis there. But I have the feeling that foreign investors are coming back. Well, I haven't been there for 6 to 8 years, and I wanted to see how things are working there. And so in discussions at conferences, you exchange great tips. So this is an opportunity in China. This is an opportunity in China. But well, a participant said, well, this is the SAP of China, and then I need to look at the stock. And well, media also report a lot about this, about the trade differences between China and the US. And now the question is, what what what's the use if they have great companies, but the US say, well, that we can't work with them. Well, you can think of that what you want, but in these plannings there is some wisdom there. This is one notion from the China conference was that this is theater, what we're seeing there. If the Americans would really want to reduce imports, they could do that easily with with tariff regulations. Well, just make regulations harder for Alibaba, and they are going to stop the export. And one thing that I really found interesting was that if Trump would be president again, then he would increase the noise. So he's a real, he's very much against China, and then he would make a deal, and then he would sacrifice Taiwan. So you don't you're not fearing a war, but you're saying that the conflict is probably resolved via the US. Well, China, the US shows its muscles, and so well, it would be better if we had a soft bear hug and say, well, okay, everything remains the same, and well, military is difficult, and the Chinese know that. So the Handelsblatt last week had a big story that the entire AI revolution would be at an end. Companies like Nvidia, for example, who receive everything from Taiwan. You don't see the risk here. What kind of interest would China have to end the chip production? There is no interest there. So first of all, this is a great export. These are great export wares, and of course, they would also like to use the chips. So what kind of reason would there be to stop this? So for you, I heard that in the interview that you had somewhere else. So China is the surprise this year. Yes, it already has been. So at the beginning of the year, we included a product in two of our funds where we said, okay, well, China will recover with leverage, because I thought after 3 years of bad mouthing China, we need to really look at the economical facts. They're not euphoric, but they're not bad either. And looking at the fact that many companies are directly comparable, the Chinese companies are really cheap at the moment. So, and electric cars. So we're talking about electromobility, how difficult it is. And then you're going through Shanghai, and you see cars with green plates. All cars with green plates are electric cars. There are still combustion engines, but not a lot. And these cars are from brands that I have never heard of. And so, this is the difference between what we hear and the way that it is there. And well, the countries around, they hope that these cars are going to stay in China because they're subsidized. Well, this is a brutal competition. I don't know whether they're subsidized, but I know that we have 10 providers or more brands that we do not know here, and they have overcapacities, and they really want to enter the market. And it's probably be that way. It's going to be that way. And we had so you also invited an AI researcher today, and not one, but a really an expert. And so, what do you think? How is that going to develop? Particularly also the stocks, and how do you find undervalued stocks. So Alex Graves, where is he? Back there. So he is one of the worldwide leading AI researchers. He's not someone who writes articles, but he is creating the software where the AI is trained on, and he's going to hold a fascinating presentation later on. And so what I learned from him and from his colleague Jürgen Schmidhuber, we have an exponential growth here, and we underestimate what this technology can do. And right now we see that we have text prompts, that you're creating pictures, video, and then we think this is AI. This is the absolute start of what is still to come. So the topic of AI, I think this is an incredible growth topic for the next 5 to 10 years, which will surprise us again and again. Companies, finding companies, you don't need to use the Western companies or the classics like Google. So we have Palantir, who are decisive in the Ukraine war with artificial intelligence. There's a German company who's called Helsing. They're not on the stock markets. And so and maybe also the suppliers. But well, Baidu also has really interesting AI researchers, but we don't see them like we see Western companies. And Nvidia with who is evaluated at a price book value of 80. This but then again, we have companies that are not very expensive, those who produce the plates and such. So it's an interesting topic, and it's great that you always find companies and that you pass on those tips. So we need to be on time tonight, because tomorrow you're on the flight to Florida, and you're visiting a biotech conference. What are the topics there, and what do you think about that sector? Well, this is of course one of our big focuses. So from the modulation of molecules up to the treatment with diverse machinery, this is a very vast field. So BioNTech, we had that here at the conference a couple of years ago. Back so it's not a lot on the media right now. And then we see that there is a cancer conference in the US, and there they present new results, and the German stock market doesn't react at all. So there will be great things in the next years. So I would be interested in you're you're investing in these kind of topics very early on, but how do you evaluate whether these companies can be successful in the long term? Not all of them succeed. Is that, well, I'm going to take them all and I assume that a couple of them will fail? Well, a couple of them fail. Yeah, that it just is that way. So in that case, we have depreciations, and but well, we are monitoring them for a while, and as soon as they're beginning to have to earn money, then we're putting them into the portfolio. And well, so to sum up, what are your favorites? Did we address them all? For AI, biotechnology, are there other sectors that I did not talk about under industries? Infrastructure. So behind that, we have the physical infrastructure. So if you look at what kind of chip factories are built that cost 20 billion, what kind of cables are right now built in between Europe, so these long distance cables, these are really giant investments. And of course, the Deutsche Bahn. So here, really, there's lots of money that can flow in there. And this is, for me, this is the biggest topic, actually. And then imagine is the buzzword today. And we all think of John Lennon here. If the world is supposed to change for the better, it needs to change. It needs to change within the heads. And so, well, this idea came from Mr. Winiter, who said, well, there's lots of topics, and this is really liberating. And when I went through all the presentations yesterday, and I listened to Fly Like an Eagle on Spotify, and well, we are stuck in this German world, and we don't see a future nor a past, and so we're entwined, stuck somewhere. And then I see other countries who just go forward. And if we now believe that we can just push aside the obstacles and only talk about possible things about, then we see chances that are gigantic. And let's assume that we would, make this change, that we would liberate ourselves. This would be great. Well, I believe that we're going to have a couple of, and we're going to see images, which, I don't know whether we can make it. I would like to wish to hear those two songs. Well, maybe before or after one of the breaks.
It's a full program, but before we start, I would like to welcome the colleagues who are here in the room. I would ask you to stand up so that everyone here knows who is here. Because first of all, my wife. Mr. Hesche must be here somewhere. Ah, over here. And I don't know if you have recognized him, Stefan. Mr. Endres, of course, sits right next to the AI expert. And those who work with raw metals. And Stefan. Mr. Philip. Ah, here. He was here even at the first conference. Mr. Baus from Hamburg. I'm sorry, the interpreters cannot really hear. The sound is very, very poor. So we cannot really hear the names. I'm sorry for that. We want to take care, those who take care that nothing goes wrong here. And here from sales. And for sustainability, our expert. From Switzerland, also regarding sustainability. Over there. Mr. Winter, who's organized everything. From company Mobile. Are here probably. Sorry, the interpreters can hardly hear anything. I'm sorry, the sound is very, very poor. Oh, yes. I haven't seen you, I'm sorry. And I will have to speak even faster than usual, but that is hardly possible. Ah, okay. I've forgotten something. Well, site determination, what is that? It's actually people, and it's hardly to understand, but it's people who are very important. And then I would like to better introduce into my speech. Okay. It's interesting which stocks in Europe are still worthwhile. That's the technologies share. Sorry, interpreters cannot hear what is being said. The sound is very, very poor. Something like 5 and 6%. So you can earn some money with stocks in Europe. Yeah, you shouldn't have laughed. There are some good companies in Europe. That's smaller, some smaller companies. We've got some here. There's more in it. And that is explained that Buffett thinks it's more important with the interest rate than the stocks. And when there's growing expectation, then This is important for the United States. The American stocks have become stronger. This for a longer period of time. And we see, if we look at this, then you can see here, that's where we are. We have seen better times. So we can see that the prices are a bit higher, but this is not on a higher level. There's some leeway still, some headroom. And how about the indexes, the indices? And this is the red line that you can see here. The core message is, if we take out the top stocks from the United States, the market is small. We look at the S&P 500, and behind it, there's some stocks which are at normal value or not overestimated. And in my experience, it's the middle area, the mean area, that will grow stronger. And we've got here someone from Goldman Sachs. And brings the difference together after the first, the big shares have been taken out of the equation. Once again, the interpreters cannot hear properly what is being said. The sound is very poor. So that you see here Japan, and at the end, United Kingdom. So that's the top 7 here. Forza, quite interesting. This is the volatility over 5 years. And you can see here on the sustainability is important. In general, I think we just deliver what we have promised with good returns. Sorry, the interpreters cannot hear properly what is being said. This is the return.
Here we see the dark blue. These are the times we have more yield. We always have also red spots here. And well, these are it's shaking a lot, but in the end we have we're coming up to 18-19%, and so it's important to stay with the stocks and not to pull out funds. So for long term, for the long term, this is still very interesting. Well, then what is not working, and it was easy for me to set this up. And I think we need to make headroom for us. We are standing in our own way. The current federal government does not trust the self-regulating power of the market. So the people do know what is good for them. Please let the market work. So I don't need to tell people of over 100 pages what they need to do. Countries within the EU framework are in part extremely efficient compared to Germany, and I'm looking forward to the presentation of Markus, who came from Estonia today, of Mr. Markus. And so they have been very digitalized for 10 years right now, and he will show us how easy things work then. And my very simple finding here, well, slimming down things are going to increase the gross national product directly. And so right now I've been in I've been in the Hamburg harbor, and it's taken a three-quarter of a year to liberate the trade here, and so this is missing in the GDP, and so the gross national product, and so this is really a waste. And right now, if a telecommunication company has to wait 2 years for approvals, even though we have many companies like that, and many, and so this really is a waste. Also, when it comes to the usage, and if it takes 5 years, and well, so if we could, reduce the time, then we right away have an increase in the GNP. This really is very simple, and we don't demand enough. If I look at how Chinese children study and how they get important, and if I compare it to the German school system, then yeah, well, of course, this doesn't work anymore then. And then an ecological transition costs money. And at a presentation in Liechtenstein at the university, I was really angry where a representative of the Greens said, well, a bowl of ice cream, that's what it costs, the ecological transition. That is of course not true. It costs money. It costs lots of money, this transition, and it can be spent in a stupid way or in a good way. And well, and then I'm going to look at the German TV program. So behind bars, when women kill, poor Germany, hard Germany, goodbye Germany, and then families, the guys in Tabonis, the Ludolfs, what kind of country is that in which we're living? So I have never even seen one of those shows. And then I'm going into the West End and see the digital future of Germany. And I think, well, this is, this is the network that we have. And then my own driver's license and my own ID card. These are digital in Frankfurt. And so then you're going into the portal and logging in, and then it says no slots available, try again later. And so it's possible to have to get a date here at midnight. And so actually it was really difficult to get a new ID card. So this really is a joke.
Bought an electric car, and registration was all done electronically. I'm quite sure it was then printed out and carried to the authority. And it's the same with courts. And that is what we get from the report of the Standard Control Council. And this is for those who they take care of bureaucracy, and this is for those who actually want to file applications. I don't want to know how this works. How can someone who is not so privileged maybe and doesn't really know about the internet and cannot really talk to authorities, how can they file an application? Isn't that really hard? It would be enough if the access to social benefits would be made easier, instead creating a new authority with another 5,000 people who would again control and do everything. It's really not thinking from the point of view of the customer, but from point of view of the politician. I've got a new idea, so let's have a new law and a new authority. So actually, they never ask who is my customer and how can I enable them to get the money which they have a right to. So this is what it looks like, depending on the social situation. That's from the same report. It's between 4 and 8 authorities that you need if you've got persons with a child or a disabled person or small families. It's 8 different authorities and 4 for different places to go. That cannot be. Now, the different situation, some people can actually be at leisure in the social security system. I've seen that sometimes. We've got 200 million, 2.5 million people unemployed, but cleaning companies can't get staff, so it cannot be so difficult in Germany. When I have to wait for an hour at the airport till I get my luggage, I don't think that's an overly complex task, security control, and then put it on the conveyor belt. That cannot be too difficult. So something must be wrong if we have 2.5 million people who don't work, but we have enough work, and restaurants have to close because they don't find any staff. That doesn't really work. Then I heard a presentation of Mr. Kulat, who had a comparison of how long it takes in different countries and different authorities to get something. In Austria, it's 33 minutes. If it's electronically 0, in Germany, 20 minutes. Sorry, in France, 20 minutes. In 45 minutes in other countries. So this could go down to 0 to 3 minutes. You don't have to capture data once and again, time and again. And this is just for sending companies. There's the A1 certificates for European regulation. In the first kind of column, they ask how many documents do you need, and then every country can put up can add some more documents, because some things are different in Italy from Germany and so on. And in Germany, we've got 16 federal states who have 16 different regulations for things. But this is not how Europe can work. And we've got building in Germany, construction works. Now, we had a politician who wanted to build a house, and there's 7,000 DIN standards for construction. And DIN standards, that's a private organization, but at court, it's always a DIN standard which is applicable. And for instance, if you build a bathroom and the tilt in the floor is not big enough, then this is a violation of the DIN standard. And we've got so many of them. For wind parks, it takes 4 to 5 years to get the approval. And for radio, then it takes up to 2 years. And in Frankfurt, we've got a tunnel which has been planned for 60 years. And now they hope that by 2031, we will probably have this connection between 2 motorways, which we have been waiting for 60 years now. And if I look at China, where I can take 20 minutes from Shenzhen to Hong Kong below ground with a very fast train, with electronic control and everything, that works so well. And then I think I've already said that before. Why is Germany so bad at schools? We never demand anything. Germany is failing to adjust the learning needs of the 21st century. Systems rigidity start with unhelpful cultural attitudes and so on. And many parents shun preschool education because it could encourage excessive competition. Please don't win at some competitive games because it would hurt the others. Well, and the result we can see now. Reducing bureaucracy, there are many reasons for this. Prussia has become strong with good bureaucracy. It was reliable and clear bureaucracy, and the laws from the 19th century are great. And then there's a politician coming, has a new idea, then there will be a new law and new and bigger authorities, and there's a compromise with exceptions, very many exceptions. There's no consensus about what you really want. And then there's a wish to get to get fair treatment of each and every one. So there's this group and so on. But okay, this was the rather bad picture, but there are some positive news. What can be done? And we've got 3 big topics where something's really happening. That's IT, healthcare sector, and infrastructure sector. Artificial intelligence remains breathtaking, really. What we see right at the moment is just a little bit of what is going to come. I can give you a Excel sheet with 60,000 data and tell ChatGPT do a correlation calculation. Yeah, that's great. But ChatGPT hasn't come up with proposing to me holiday destinations or other things. So a lot can come in medical diagnosis. It's already used in case of breast cancer as a second opinion, AI. I mean, so a lot is going to happen because we've got so many data that we haven't ever used for analysis. That brings me to the healthcare sector. This sector has suffered a lot. We've got great investments in healthcare, and 90% came back. Actually, when I do that tomorrow, I expect that research is going on and has gone on all the time. The general public is disappointed by pharma and biotechnology, but in reality, there are some radical breakthroughs coming up in the detection and treatment of diseases, and the stock exchange is just ignoring it. And then physical infrastructure, we will have two examples from the practice later on. Ecologic change will cost money, that's right, but it will also earn us money because we've got some cheaper energy sources that we can hear about later. And those companies who do the transformation, with them you can earn money. At the end, we will talk about private pension provisions. And you mentioned this already. Thomas Richter will come here from the Association of retirement pension funds and so on. And he will talk about the different pension provisions that you can have. And probably he will also give us a report from the Ministry of Finances when this will be a law. Now, high tech, so you see some numbers. High tech share of capital spending is right at the moment at 50%. So the money is not just going into cement factories, but into data centers. Such a data factory will cost about $20 billion. Data warehouses, cloud storages are being built everywhere very fast right at the moment. I know this because I know one company which is working together with the big internet companies. Costs are not important. It's much more important to get the things in place and work with them. It's a showing of muscles to show who's got the best data infrastructure, and they have to invest several $billion. We use AI as well. Alex Graves will touch upon that later on. Not to find AI companies, as you just asked, but we want to use AI ourselves. And we've got two models in place already internally, and then we're working on a new model, that's a Bayesian flow network, which will not work with static prognosis, but with simulations about what the world will look like. That could be different simulations, look for portfolios which are really good for this environment or that environment. And we will see that. And that's not yet in place. We have some data issues that we have to resolve. And Alex Graves is the spiritual godfather of this project, so to speak. And Mrs. Wohlfeil asked about NVIDIA, and around that we've got some ACATIS ships who have the same speed. NVIDIA can only be as fast as they get the ships, and they can only be as fast as the suppliers that supply them. So around this whole area of artificial intelligence, there will be some smaller companies which will also be very interesting. You can see them here. This is the market of the companies. These are you've got here Broadcom, TSMC from Taiwan, ASML from Netherlands, Samsung, AMD, Intel, Qualcomm, Materials, and at the right side you see and the VAT group from the Rhine Valley. All of them are exactly in the same cycle. Even the very small VAT group at the right side, they take care that the production sites will be vacuumized, so there's no air in them. You think it's boring? It's mechanical devices, it's pumps, and it looks very conventional, really, but for each chip factory that is built, VAT needs to, or a company like VAT needs to supply the pumps. So there's a whole convoy which can benefit from that boom. And what you see here on the left side NVIDIA, of course, and Edson and so on. And on the right side, in Tokyo, I saw them once on an electronic trade fair, Disco Corporation. They actually cut the ingots for the computers in very, very fine discs. They are so thin that you can look through them. This is why you see the hand behind it. All of them are growing in the same rhythm. And I think it's still a huge field to invest in IT. These are the producers of we've got the producers of the machines, of the semiconductors, of computer chips, the data warehouses, and so on. I think Microsoft said we need small nuclear power plants for our data warehouses. So power supply is a big issue here. And Rick Abel from Berkshire said power consumption until 2030 will double at least increase by 50%. So it's a large number. So a chip factory costs 20 billion. Now the leisure time sector, the healthcare sector, sorry, the second sector is the healthcare sector. A big focus for investments for us. What you see here is the expenditure on healthcare in relation to the GDP, and there is really an increasing trend because cheap diseases will be eliminated, and penicillin or aspirin doesn't cost anything, but the expensive diseases remain. People get older, but getting older costs much more money, and even the Minister of Health cannot do anything about that. It's a natural law because you first focus on the easy diseases in research, and then the expensive therapies come later, and they might cost up to 1 or 2 million of treatment. That's not unusual for some of the rare diseases. And penicillin for 20 euros is not really something that counts here. This is done by generics producers, and the very expensive therapies will come. The topic of the speed of innovation in medicine is really big. We see that in companies like Schrödinger, we are invested in them, and they are actually separate molecules. There are some people coming say this molecule, maybe you can make it a month old and so on. And they take that molecule and they do several billions of variations of that molecule in a computer, and they use AI to find out which of those 2 billion molecules would be most promising. And then they deliver to the pharmaceutical company maybe 5 drugs which can be developed out of this molecule. But they need, of course, some years of development. Very interesting, very fast innovation, really interesting, but it takes a while till the medication is launched because the approval preconditions are very high. Now, you have to actually see the cause of the disease, first of all, and that determines how long it takes till a product is approved. So a product against Alzheimer's disease will take a long time, but with BioNTech and pancreas cancer, you get a result within a few weeks because there the cause of the disease is not so long. So Alzheimer's disease, that is not worthwhile. Antibiotics, even less worthwhile. Many data, as I wrote here, but few of them only in Germany. We went to the company Centrogene to Rostock, and they've got about 800,000 data from genes, from exobioma, from transcriptoma, and whatever these things are called. So that's a different parts of blood. So hundreds and thousands of data from people with rare diseases. Stock price, the value on the stock 10 million, but no one wants to buy their shares. And it's really hard that such a company doesn't have a real place in Germany. Those were the people who introduced the test system at the airport that was on the bridge, where within a few hours you got the result of the big corona test. And the state's authorities weren't so quick, but they could do it very quickly. And what else is there? 23 in gene diagnosis through lab diagnostics to blood analysis and so on. Gene sequences, oxonanopore, imaging, cult size. Then we've got the detection tools like Rapsellera and Schrödinger, and the other companies like BioNTech, Verdix, Genmab, big pharma with the Nordics. So the range of companies that we could invest in the pharmaceutical area is really huge. And since we've got a population that is getting older and older, and the healthcare system is getting more and more expensive, we will automatically be able to benefit from that. Infrastructure is a very big topic. I just got this from the internet from a company called Morador. The market for infrastructure is 2.7 billion. Trillions it would be in the United States, currently in 24, and this will grow to $3.7 trillion in 2031. And this is a growth rate of 6% per year in the infrastructure sector. After 4 years, not much has happened. But railways had been built before.
So then the power producers, the chemistry industry, here we can invest very well. I've just got one example. For those of you who read the paper, I hope that many of you do. Well, I really like to have the newspaper in my hands physically, but this I found online. But here so this was from a Focus, I think. Billion cable should deliver German power to the Brits, and so it's hard to imagine that we have a cable from Germany to Great Britain. And the question is then, who is building this cable? And I'm looking at our tools, well, AlphaSense, and here it says the order backlog of Prysmian. This is an Italian company who builds these kind of cables, DC, and that these can be put underwater. And so back then, when I looked at the order backlog was at 6 billion, afterwards 12, and now it's 18 billions of order backlog that they have in order to put power cables into the ground only in that domain, mainly in Europe, but there are still discussions to have from Australia to long distances. And so this is something where we could invest. And back then they had a ratio of 12, I believe. And then and through the big investments, the costs are going down, the costs of a green environment. And so I have the battery costs in kilowatt hours in a logarithmic scale. Right now we're at around about $100 per kilowatt hour, and they're going down around about 10% per year. And what we said 8 years ago, as soon as the battery costs have gone down significantly, the electric car is going to be cheaper than the classical combustion engine. And so far, this was always a lost business with subventions here and there. And but if the battery costs are going down, then a 600 or 800 kilometer reach is okay, and there are no reasons left to have a combustion engine. It's the cars are cheaper in maintenance, and that's why we have this this angular point for those electric car is going to come within a couple of years due to cost reasons. This turning point. So and now we we have longer periods, difficult periods, and after that we have the earnings that are coming in. And here we see SFC Energy. This is a company who do the degassing of dumps, of waste dumps. So they need to produce a plant for 10 million. They get out the gas and they're going to sell it. So far, the gas went into the atmosphere and was really bad for the climate. Right now, they're taking it out, cleaning it and selling it and making earnings. And this really is profitable in a very short time. And we in Europe, we want to do that for political reasons. And the orders are coming from the US. They say, well, they say this is very profitable. So here, 4th June, and then so even weekly, they have new orders coming in. ideology-free orders for the degassing of waste. This took a while. They took years to develop it, and now they're on the market, and now the earnings are coming in. And here, SFC Energy. Here, I have depicted the turnover development of those last years, and well, I'm talking to the CEO once in a while, and he says, "Well, we have a great year, and right now, when you have had the turning point, then things are going to run," and that's what I wanted to say. Well, the status quo might be difficult, but we have enormous chances in those three focal points that I've been talking about: IT, health sector, and infrastructure. And I do believe that that there's really lots to come. And as we are your investors, so that we are, working on your order, and so we believe that you're in a good position for the future. Not everything works. Ms. Wolfert already said that, but if we see something, then we also get in there with higher volumes. And so the old age depot, we're going to hear about that later on. This is from our website that we built 4 or 5 years ago. So today we're going to start with Dr. Rainer Hank. He's my favorite editor at the Sunday's paper, and he really has interesting texts. And he really deals often with a lot of very common prejudices, and so these are prejudices that are really that we see here and there. And every Sunday he writes, and I ask him to provide 10 topics of how we could make life in Germany easier. Then afterwards, we've got Mr. Markus, who's already sitting in the first row here. And so when I had the video call with him, it was really incredible what he told us about how efficient the Estonian administration is. So Estonia is probably the most digitalized country in the world. And at the same time, I saw Mr. Böhmermann on TV, and they went to the authorities there, and no one is there. Everything works electronically. And then the question is about data protection, and they have the same data protection as we do, and it works anyway. And so it's very interesting to see how in the exact same regulatory environment that things are working. And fly like illegal, it works. Alex Graves, I've already talked about him a couple of times. He is working with InstaDeep right now at BioNTech. He is head of AI research. And so he is really one of the world-class scientists here. And so he really is the person who filed for patents here in the AI domain. So he is really the expert, and I think this is going to be really interesting. And I hope that we're going to be there before the lunch break. But well, and Horst von Butler. So he worked at Kapital before, now at the Wirtschaftswoche, and back then I read that little book, This is the Solution for the Green Transition, and well, I just wanted to ask him to say what is possible in Germany with sustainable investments. Where does he see the big chances? Then Mr. Lefebvre from Vaga Energy, also very interesting presentation here. We have lots of new projects. So he is an engineer, and these plans, when they're installed, they're running for 10 to 20 years. This is really a cash grow machine, which I believe is incredible. And then SFC Energy, we've talked about that a couple of times already. Dr. Peter Podesser, I think he was already there at the foundation of the company, and then later on he went back to the company, and now They have, yeah, they're in the green, and I think it's going to be great what we're going to hear. And then Thomas Richter, I asked him to report from Berlin what is happening there in terms of the third column of old age provisions, and so I informed myself too. So we in Berlin we tried and get into the work groups there. So a customer of ours brought this into the program of the FDP, and I expect that that we will have this in the legislation in the soon. Whether it works well or not, I can't tell, but there is an initiative here, and so this was one of my life's targets, that people prepare for old age, can prepare for old age privately, because I'm really worrying that people are getting, that people are being poor when in old age. And so this is the day, and I think I'm really on time today, and so I'm really looking forward to the presentation of Dr. van Hanke.